Is this good? Okay. Well, you already know about my background, and that really is what primarily inspired this novel. The title comes from the fact that St. Barbara is the legendary protector of coal miners. She is technically desainted now, but her legend still lives on. And in this novel, there's a pageant annually that reenacts the legend. And naturally, every girl in the town called the Hive wants to play St. Barbara. I grew up hearing lots of stories about miners and mining, but really very little about the women. And I've always been more interested in the history that is not taught. And so I decided to focus this novel on the lives of women who are really underrepresented in mining literature. The focus of the novel is a Depression-era miner's wife, Claire Sweeney, and her 3 daughters, Nora, Deirdre, and Katie, and the events in Fayette County, Pennsylvania, and the world beyond, and how they influenced their lives from 1929 to 1941. And the novel opens in the spring of 1929 at a local baseball game, and the point of view is that of Deirdre, the middle daughter. Deirdre Sweeney saw him first. She sat on the hillside above the Hive's baseball field, where the fans' silence further thickened the cinder-ridden air. It was the bottom of the 9th in the season's home opener, and the Hive, defending Frick League champions, trailed Buffington by 2 runs. Holding breath and tongues and a dwindling sense of hope, everyone surrounding Deirdre had eyes only for the batter's box. A peculiar glint, however, lured her gaze away from the field. Disbelieving her eyes, she blinked, stared, then blinked again. No miner had thrown a stone, much less walked off the job, since the big strike's 18 miserable months had ended last October. Still, there was no denying that a new policeman stood beneath a crabapple tree, 10 yards or so behind the home team's bench. His badge shone as if placed in the path of a sunbeam. The sun, however, hid behind the smoke of 300 beehive-shaped coke ovens that had given the patch its nickname. Surrounded by stinking haze, the shimmering badge seemed all the more unsettling. A groan arose from the quilts that patchworked the grass. Deirdre glanced back at the field where the Hive's leadoff batter had just struck out. She was dimly aware of her 2 sisters and Muti, her mother, murmuring behind her, of pit boss Big Bill Keating, the next batter, taking his stance, of an exuberant cicada hum rising from the slope above left field, where revenge-bent Buffington fans hoped to upset the team that had deprived them of last season's trophy. At 17, Deirdre still took pride in the fact that she could recite the score of each championship game since the league began. Now, however, her meticulous box score slid crumpled into her pocket. More pressing than balls and strikes, and even unthinkably a loss, was the presence of the policeman, the stranger, slouched against the crabtree. He wore a military cap, like that of the coal and iron police, but his uniform was forest green instead of navy. She'd heard Pap say that the governor had recently changed the Cossacks' uniforms, not just their name. Irrelevant changes, since the new industrial police performed the same cruel duties, abusing strikers, evicting families, and dumping their furniture into the muddiest ditch at hand. Deirdre heard Muti gasp an instant before the bat's crack. Countless breaths caught, then released. A foul ball, a collective sigh. Muti's chapped hand closed around Deirdre's shoulder and turned her around. While the boss's wives showed off permanent waves and crisp new dresses, Muti's appearance confirmed her status as a downhiller missus, and an exceptionally deprived one at that. From her frayed straw hat to scuffed shoes, she appeared as faded as an old flour sack towel, all but her cheeks stained a hot red. "Do you see him?" she whispered. Releasing Deirdre, her fingers hovered, contracted, turning compact as an egg, as hard as a stone. "Gott bewahre, nicht wieder," she said, her tone no longer a wary church murmur. "God forbid, not again." Under ordinary circumstances, Deirdre would have shushed Mutti, who'd carelessly broken Pap's rule against speaking what he called Kaiser talk. Under ordinary circumstances, Mutti wouldn't risk a beating if Pap found out. But anyone with any sense knew that an industrial policeman appearing out of thin air meant that circumstances in the hive had changed without warning from ordinary to God knows what. Flanking Mutti, Deirdre's sisters Katie and Nora sat with parted lips and paling faces. They could not have appeared more shocked than if they watched 100 Klansmen, led by the mine superintendent, march down First Street in broad daylight. Deirdre turned back to the field. She stared at the officer's cap-shadowed face until pain flickered between her eyebrows. Perhaps his expression would hint at his purpose, though never had a Cossack been accused of good intentions. As if sensing her scrutiny, he nonchalantly removed his cap. Again, Deirdre blinked. He was 19, maybe 20 at most. Her surprise at his youth dissolved when in quick succession he wiped his brow, replaced the cap, and pulled a long dark club from his belt. As he stalked toward the hive's home team bench, Deirdre heard Nora murmur behind her, "When Pap sees that club, all hell's going to break loose." Thank you.